Hi guys, it's Claude from Canine IQ Dog Training. Thanks for dropping by again. Just thought I'd put a video down with regards to another communication topic which has a lot to do with dog to human communication verbally and how we use our voice as part of the dynamic in getting them to understand the instructions that we want to give them. The reason I want to have discussion, I did a session with some people on the weekend that were training at an obedience training centre with a lovely shepherd. This dog was pretty confident, strong-willed, working lines, so a lot of strong personality, and the instructor at the training centre that they were seeing, or they were going to, had basically said to them that their dog did not respect them, and because of the strong personality of the dog, they needed to speak to the dog in firm authoritative tones to actually make sure that the dog responded to the behaviour. Firstly, the whole respect thing is really misunderstood. Dogs don't respect you. They either do things because they want to do things and it's in their best interest to do them, or they choose not to do it because it's not in their best interest. And it's all about us as dog trainers and handlers is to make them realize that interacting with us is pretty important, and to do the right thing is in their best interest. Once you've got that communication path happening, you've got a dog that wants to work with you, and it just works with you because it just wants to work with you, and it actually has a good relationship with you, and dog training is all about establishing a relationship. So the problem that I've got with speaking to the dog in a firm authoritative tone is that if at work you ask somebody to photocopy something for you, would you use a harsh authoritative tone, or would you simply ask them to do it and then judge what happens next based on whether they do or whether they don't? And the reason why I would not speak to somebody at work in a harsh authoritative tone is that if I ask somebody to photocopy something, I'm just giving them information, and that information is I need you to do this task, and then your behaviour downstream should affect how I respond to you in that situation. It's no different to a dog. If I'm asking the dog to sit, I'm asking the dog to sit, or you could say I'm telling the dog to sit. If the dog does it, then that's great, and if the dog doesn't do it, then we need to discuss that option. But there's no point me yelling at the dog to make it do that behaviour. I'm giving it information, and effectively information should be free of emotion. The reason why it's good to be free of emotion is that we're not putting additional stress on that situation. So if the instruction is already a difficult task for the dog to do, and then you compound it by putting harsh or forceful tones over the top of it, you are definitely adding to the stress level the dog has, and it depends on whether the dog is at a teaching, training or proofing phase, and we'll talk about that more in a later detail, in a later video. But effectively I'm trying to tell the dog this is the behaviour that I want you to do, and anything that comes out of my mouth effectively is something that you need to understand, appreciate and work towards. So if I start yelling at my dog or being forceful, then I'm making my dog back up a little bit. Imagine if you're talking to somebody and all they do is yell, your first response is to back off, and that's quite normal, and dogs do the same. If you're speaking to somebody that's well-spoken, friendly, receptive in how they talk, and they're always at the same level and they don't lose their patience, you're more likely to listen to them, and dogs are the same. If you're with somebody that talks quietly and then sometimes they talk loudly, the few times that they talk loudly, you're more likely to listen to them is the exception. So there's this dynamic of this relationship that's actually happening with the dog, where the dog is actually comfortable hearing instructions and it's not already intimidated by the words that are coming out of your mouth, or more importantly, the noises, because they actually don't, we all know this, they don't understand words, but they understand sounds and associations of behaviour. So if we use a tone that's relatively neutral, it gives us plenty of wiggle room. The other benefit to this is if you have a person, a family dynamic where you've got a man, a woman and a child, and the man's got a naturally deep voice and the woman's got a normally soft voice and the child's got an even softer voice. If the dog responds primarily to the man through yelling or speaking firmly, then the woman's got nowhere to go and the child's got nowhere to go, because they just can't compete with the tone. And if we try and get them to all speak in their natural tone, then the dog is used to hearing this communication exchange, which is based on normality and tones that I can associate with continuously. There's no fluctuation. So then that means that the dog is more likely to respond to all three of them at any point in time equally. And then it's just a matter of convincing the dog to do it, which is all part of reinforcement, which we need to talk about at another stage. But where I wanted to head with this video is to try and convey the information to people that when we're giving the dog an instruction, it's really important just to use our normal tone. The reward structure that happens afterwards, if you want to release the dog and praise it and pat it, certainly be enthusiastic and be energetic, because that's a celebration of success effectively, and that should always be enjoyable to the dog. But the basic instruction to begin with, try and keep it neutral, try and keep it your same straight personality, and then you know that you don't have to act when you're talking to your dog. And dogs like predictability, so if what comes out of your mouth is normal and they can trust it, they'll learn to trust you more going forward. I hope this made a bit of sense. As usual, nice to get comments. Let's dissect it. Thanks again.